we're back for season 3. We're back in a new space, elevated, better, I think.
Way better.
Way better.
Like levels up.
We stepped out of the boardroom and into our own space. So welcome.
Huge upgrade.
I'm Sam.
I'm Nick.
I'm Naz.
So what have you guys been up to lately? Let's chat and catch up our listeners.
What's the new year? Just started. You guys were both away. Just holding down the fort on my own.
Yeah.
Before we start that, actually, I think
Calling us out for taking a vacation.
No,
here
you
now?
guys
Is
both
that
actually
illegal?
deserve a vacation, to be honest. You both deserve one.
That's the nicest thing you ever said.
To you?
Jealous.
I'm
You
surprised.
dip your toes on the sand with
Oh, I'm
Nicholas.
so jealous. You have no idea. No, you know what? I wanted to say before we get started that we have somebody behind the camera now. Somebody new.
That's another good feature, part of our taking it up a notch this season.
Yeah, it's not just the set that got upgraded. It's also the gear, the lighting.
people.
The lighting's fabulous. The people behind the scenes.
Quality.
So shout out to our main man, Thomas.
It's I think it's going to be a great season.
I'm
we
excited.
got a lot more guests, a lot more content, a lot more educational videos. We're here to have some fun at the same time.
I think like educational, not so like boring educational, but to the fact that you're going to learn a lot about different entrepreneurs, different people
Different
making money
industries.
and excelling in their field, right? So we're hoping that our podcast can provide a place where people can come to look for that inspiration that they might be looking for. So if you're maybe a young entrepreneur or someone who kind of found themselves in a place where they don't know where to start this year or going forward, we hope that we can give you that push to get you in the right direction. So think of us as your kind of friends to getting you to where you want to go this year. So we're here to support you with that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a sick season. It really is.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good one.
So maybe we give everybody a little bit of a background of how the Real Deal started, because I know we've touched upon this in the past, but it's something that we haven't really talked too much about. And now that we've successfully made it to the 3rd season,
Yes.
I think it's something to talk about. So we're going to start this season with a little bit of an intro to Nick and Naz, I guess, because they are the founders of the podcast. So I'm going to pass it over to these two to
I will continue
Take
to
that
pass
over.
it right over to Nick.
So I guess, how did we start? So I guess I joined the team about 2 years ago now. It's been that long already.
I can't
Crazy.
believe it.
yeah.
Prior to that, I was working in corporate real estate before joining the team. And when I came on the team, I met this handsome fellow Naz here.
Oh, me. You know me. Sorry.
And we talked about our goals and objectives for the year, and we were both sort of on the same page in terms of coming up with a cool podcast where we could not only have some fun, but like Sam said, provide a platform and a good listen for people to just get that, courage and motivation with anything they do. So I think that was sort of the stepping stone in season 1 where, we were fresh, didn't have all sort of everything figured out right away. But now as we, I guess escalate to season 3 now.
It's good to see it come to this point, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We almost had
Crazy.
no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
I think, kind of like classifies it better. Like zero idea. But it happened. It happened.
I think that's the point that is really strong here, is that you guys had no idea what you were doing. Started this podcast, and I was actually a guest in season 1.
Yes, you were.
Ended up
Yes.
recruiting me to the team in some way, shape, or form, basically, because I saw the environment and how much potential there was for me, not only as an agent, but as a person to grow.
At least when we did something well then.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had a big impact on me wanting to be in an environment where people were like-minded and wanting to go in the same direction as me, right? So I think that was a big thing for me, so inspired me in that way. And then when I joined the team, these guys knocked on my office door one day and they're like, hey, Sam, why don't you come on the podcast with us and be the 3rd host, right? So it was kind of like, oh, you guys went from having me as a guest to wanting me as a host. So that was really special to me when they asked me to be a host, and the fact that we were able to grow our platform bigger in season 2 to the point where we were able to have a set and a videographer and all these people supporting us, I think is huge for us as a team, right?
Yeah, it speaks volumes.
Yeah,
It does.
it does.
And I think even, since Sam joined, the podcast has elevated substantially. Sam's been a big help.
3 minds
Yeah.
is better than 1 or 2. Yes.
Along with Naz. But I think even, with our team and the growth that we've experienced with the team, everyone is loving what we do with the podcast. We're hoping to have our team members also on and make a guest appearance. But I think one thing we all have in common here is a team mindset. We, love working together, and we want to take this to the next level.
Regardless of our ups and downs.
And
right?
our differences, of course.
Which teaches us a lot, right? We grow from there, we work from there. I know
100%.
we've told each other to fuck off one or two times, but but now it just builds that family bond.
I call those growing pains.
Yeah.
We go through those too, guys. It's all good. It's part of life. So
It's just, for me at least, it's crazy to see the evolution, because this is something that, the one person who kind of binds us all together is Fern.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
We're all on his team.
Stay tuned for Fern.
Stay tuned for Fern. He'll be on. But when I started on the team, I got to be going on like 5 or 6 years now. Fern and I had talked, and we had seen a vision for Fernando to make something happen beyond what realtors were doing at the time 6 years ago. Like, there was very, very few realtors who were trying to make a name for themselves through social media, right? It became big over the last few years, but Ryan Serhant is kind of the big factor in a lot of that happening and playing out. And this actually started as a YouTube channel with property tours, and Fern actually had a camera crew following him around, like, every day.
If you go back to like the OG videos on the
Yeah.
YouTube page, you'll see all this stuff.
Prior to my time on the team.
Prior to you being there, prior to both of you being there.
Then we all took it over.
Well,
from Fern.
what happened was COVID kind of happened, and there was no more filming, and it kind of all sat on the back burner, and nothing really came of it. And then when Nick joined the team, it was almost like a no-brainer to kind of re-energize this and reorganize it. I mean, we had, like Nick said, there was a like-minded mindset to come in and do something. And then when you joined, that mindset kind of took that next step. It hit the next tier, because Nick and I, although we love doing it, sometimes life gets in the way and we don't prioritize. And what you were able to come on and do, not only add dynamics, but also to push and propel the podcast forward, right? With guests or with your contacts, such as our man behind the scenes.
Man behind the camera.
Organization.
Right? So to see it evolve and only to be 3 seasons, like, you guys keep saying season 3, and I'm like, God, haven't we been doing this for like
Feels like
10 years now?
No, but it's,
Jesus.
I think people don't realize the amount of work that actually goes into having your own podcast.
Yeah.
And when you add guys had knocked on my door and asked me, I had no idea either, right? I've never been on a podcast or had a podcast until now. So yeah, it's a lot of work. Like, if you want to start your podcast, I mean, just like starting any venture, right? We're all in our own things. We all have our own businesses. But having a podcast is almost like a business or a full-time hobby in itself, right? Yeah. So that's one thing. I know a lot of content creators, we're in the digital age right now. So I think that's a good thing to talk about too, is we're trying to keep up with the digital age, and a lot of people are out there making this a profession and a career. So it's a lot of work to start your own podcast. And hey, I'm not the one to say, don't go ahead and do it. I'm probably the one to tell you, yes, you should do it. But brace yourselves, right? Be open to talking about who you are, talking to other people about who they are, along with putting in all the work, scheduling, networking, and talking to people, because it goes back to everyone's connections, right? Like, we all do a really good job at keeping up to date with our relationships out there. And that's another key thing. And that's another thing I think you'll see throughout our podcast, is how close we are with a lot of these people, and how much that contributes to the success of our show, right? So that's huge on all of our accounts. It's just bringing in everyone in general into the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to take over the mic because I have some questions for you guys, because I was actually interviewed on the show, and these two were not. So I want to hear from Nick and Naz some of the things we ask our guests on the show today. Not only to get to know them a little bit more, but it kind of shows all of our dynamics and who we are. If you go back to season 1, You can see me there if you go to my social media. I'm very loud and proud, so you can see me there. I love to be a realtor. But here in this space, I think it's important to get to know the guys who created the podcast here, along with Fernando, yes, of course, which you'll hear from him. But I think it's really important to hear about these guys and how they got started and what makes them the real deal, right? So I'm going to put it out there, the questions to both you guys that I want to know. Maybe some other people want to know, and then you guys can go at it.
Sure.
However you see fit.
Let's do it.
But how did you both get started? I know, Nicholas, you have a background in the commercial real estate world.
Yes.
Naz, you've been doing this for like 10 years now. So
Way too
you're like,
long.
no, a real estate, no. So, yeah, tell me how this all came, you guys came to be individually. We know the real deal, but I want to know Nick and Naz.
Well, I'll lean back. You can. That'll pass right to you first. That
You
question.
really
want me
like
to
to
go
hand
first?
him the
Fine.
mic
You want me to go
first, eh?
first? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, long story short, I've been in the industry for just over 7 years now, as you guys know. I started in the corporate real estate world, working for some major corporations. I'm not going to say, but, and that was fantastic. I learned a lot, taught me a lot of things that I know now, and I continuously learn every day.
I'm going to stop. I'm going to interrupt. What's one key thing you learned there? I know, like, franchising is something cool.
Franchising is cool. Lease transactions, honestly.
Yeah.
And teamwork.
And how did that lead to where you are now?
It led to where I am now because now, since I've joined the team, not only am I sort of, I guess, manning our commercial division, but helping the team with commercial deals as well.
Yeah, I want you to highlight that. Like, Nicholas is the only one on our team who actually only does commercial for the most part. Like,
Yeah.
only. So he's our, like, commercial go-to.
It's just what I love and what I'm most interested in. So that's what I focus more on. And if I could help the team, with their commercial transaction in any way, shape, or form, that's so rewarding and satisfying for me as well. And it gave me a little bit more flexibility as well to when I joined the team. And obviously, my father, Fernando, being in the business for 30 years, it had a lot of inspiration. It's inspirational for me. And I guess you could say I sort of followed in his footsteps, but in a different direction.
Yeah.
I mean, real estate's a pretty broad industry. There's many different aspects to it. Construction, finance aspect of it, development. There's all kinds. But just taking the knowledge I got from the corporate world to now sort of my own business, because that's really what we're doing and what we do. It's been incredible. Incredible.
Where do you see Nick 10 years from now in the real estate industry? I saw that vision board. I know it's on the vision board.
Yeah.
I'm on the vision board.
You two are on the vision board.
You're in mine.
Yeah, no, that's a big question. I have a lot of goals for the future, and in 10 years' time, I'm hoping we could still be doing this podcast just to maybe a times 10 sort of level.
See you on Netflix.
But in that, this field is, it has its ups and downs for sure. It can be all rewarding at the same time. And in terms of, goal and vision for the future, I definitely want to be in a place where I could get closer to being financially free, still assisting the team, still doing what I love to do, just with, making some smart investments and making my money.
Would you own your own commercial real estate? Is that the plan?
It's a good question. It's something
you preach, right?
Yeah,
So
I think I would.
Yeah.
Obviously with a lot of help behind it, but I don't want to be obviously a one-man show.
No,
like,
100%.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see that, or expanding the team's commercial division.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
Awesome. Big,
Dude, I want to be you when I
big
grow up.
plans.
How about you, Ness?
Let's go, Naz. I want to
What
hear from
about
you. The
me?
people want to know.
Yeah,
The people love Naz.
highly doubt it. but
Naz
it's
is our
okay.
office star.
No.
Ladies.
What about me? I've been a realtor for a long time. But kind of, it's weird. Kind of a non-committal realtor. It took me a while to kind of find my bearings.
Why don't you start with the story of how you got into real estate?
Yeah. Like, where were you before this?
Oh,
Because I know. Some people don't
I was
know.
like I don't know. I've always kind of been money driven. I so shit to say, but kind of been money driven. I've always wanted to have my own money. I've never wanted to rely on, not that I could, but I never wanted to rely on anybody for money. So, my dream was to always be a lawyer. I realized real quick I was not smart
You'd
enough
be a
to be
good
a lawyer.
lawyer.
I'm not smart enough to be a lawyer. But thank you.
Your negotiating
So,
skills?
yeah, that I can do. So I got my real estate license with the hope that one day I'd become a real estate lawyer. So I'd learn the real estate background, go back to school as a mature student, and become a lawyer like I always wanted. While working and getting my license, I worked in construction. I know I look like I worked in construction, but I did.
What gives it away?
Yeah, I was a rough carpenter's apprentice for a while, and then got my license. And for about 5 years while I had my license, I had jobs. I was always a part-time realtor and a full-time, whatever it was, detailer, or I worked at a body shop, Eddystone. Shout out to Eddystone.
Shout out. We like them.
I always had a job. It was never enough. And then I met Fern by accident one day. I was getting real sick of working full time with my hands. It totally was. I went to our main office.
Point
and
is,
I was,
everything's it's meant to be, right?
Yeah,
Everything's
no.
to-
I mean, I'm very fortunate.
You were
because-
supposed to meet Fern, right time, right place that day.
I'll kind of get into it, but when I met him, I was making my own script. Not a good one, by the way. It was based off of the Wolf of Wall Street script because I thought it was awesome. It's terrible. It would not have worked. Knowing what I know now, it would have not worked. So, Fern walked in. I talked to him. All he asked me was how it was going, and I was real sarcastic. And I said, if you have any tips, let me know. I was joking. And he said, meet me in 10 minutes next door, and we'll have a chat. I talked to him for 5 minutes, and I joined the team. It took 5 minutes, and I was on the team. A month later, I was working at a body shop, and I'd be sanding cars while I was making calls, and people would be like, "What's going on?" And I'd be like, "I'm getting my car fixed. It's not. You're fine. I can hear you." But meanwhile, I was working, and talked to Fern, and he said, "Listen, this is an all or nothing business. You have to be all or nothing." And I quit my job with like $120 in my bank account. I had no idea how I was going to pay my bills. There was times where Fern was like, "Listen, if you need somebody to pay your phone bill, like I will pay it," because I had no money, like $0. And that was 5 years ago, and I haven't looked back since, and I haven't needed a full-time job since. So he really did change the trajectory of my life because he got me out of that slump. So I hated real estate in the beginning. I never wanted to be. I still don't call myself a realtor, but I really love the business now. Feel like I found my place. I don't feel like I have imposter syndrome anymore, and I felt like I did for a long time in this industry. I felt like I didn't belong. And
that answers my next question. I was gonna say, what is one of the challenges you might have faced? But I think it's the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it was. I always felt like I was pretending.
Yeah, that might have been your biggest challenge.
And it was. It was never age. It was never anything. My biggest challenge was two of them. Getting over my ego was the first one. In terms of people not wanting to work with me or family not wanting to work with me, it took a while for me to get over that fact that nobody is obligated to use you and suck it up.
Yeah.
Like, too bad. That was the first one. And then the second one was, feeling like I didn't belong and feeling like, embarrassed to put myself out there as a realtor or to ask for business or to do those things. And I think it came from a lack of experience, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think a lot of us
Those are valid
can
points,
probably
yeah.
relate. Yeah. I think starting off in any industry, that being said, you always have some sort of imposter syndrome or growing pains.
Yeah.
The way everyone does.
For sure.
Getting used to a new industry, right? Like, look, I'm no expert on this, but I've switched brokerages like 4 times. So for me, finding my place took a long time, right? So everyone has their hiccups and growing pains when they're trying to get to somewhere that they belong to be, right? Going on now, you've been on the team a long time. Maybe you can talk about your experience growing with the team and being with the team.
I guess you're a veteran on the team.
Yeah, because you are like no, like seriously, I think you would be like one of the longest standing agents on the team.
Yeah, I think the only people who have been there longer than me
Karen.
are Karen for sure.
Karen.
But in terms of agents, I think Danielle, Homer, and maybe Mass.
Okay,
Leo
that makes
might be the
sense.
three
Yeah.
that have been there long. Maybe Elizabeth might have been.
For sure.
I think she's been here
Yeah,
longer
for
than
sure.
I have too. But yeah, it just gave me the opportunities to discover who I was as an agent, to discover where I wanted my business to go. Like I never thought about being anything as a realtor. I never thought about being anything other than a realtor, being anything other than a salesperson. I thought that was it. I thought you're a realtor, you make $1 million, and that's it, and you're done. And I didn't know there was more than that.
There's so much more.
And
to
there
being a
is.
realtor.
There's so much more. There's so much more to the options that are available to you. And I say this all the
What we're
time
doing
now.
right now.
Yeah.
We're realtors. We're sitting on a podcast, which a lot of people talk shit, which is fine about a lot of realtors, but this is the way we grow and
Yeah.
get out there.
But
So,
I always say, if your goal is to only be a realtor, you're in the wrong business.
yeah,
Like it's not
So
enough
true.
to just want to sell houses. Like, okay, sick. If you want to work until you're 95 years old, be a realtor forever. Sell houses.
Don't do
Like I
You'll
was
be
saying,
cool.
it's a vague industry.
It
There's
is.
a lot of different aspects to real estate. Being a
It
realtor
is.
is only a small portion.
Well, the uber successful realtors are not realtors anymore. Like to take Ryan Serhant for example, I don't
It's
really
very true.
think he's selling real estate.
I think he does to a certain point, but if his media business or
His
that
huge
coaching.
aspect,
His coaching,
coaching,
his
agents, brokerage,
So
so much more. And like when you look at just local guys around us, like take Fern even for example.
Yeah.
Look how much he's doing on a daily basis. Even little guys like ourselves individually. I somehow am an accountant, a marketing manager, an HR department, and a
Yeah.
therapist all at once in one day. Okay, so yeah.
So I just think like if your goal as a realtor for those that are watching is to just be a realtor, save yourself the headache. Save yourself the headache. You don't have to do this. You can be rich in real estate without selling it. And you'll
Buy,
be
invest,
yeah.
grow
Like
from there.
so Fern showed me that there's more to it to this industry than what the facade is. And that there's more to a realtor than just being a cheap salesperson like everybody thinks you are. And
Show your value.
yeah. So, and man, seeing the team evolve, like when I came on the team, I was the youngest person on the team. That's saying something.
I think you still are. No, I'm kidding.
No, no,
You
but
act like it.
I
No,
act
I'm
like
kidding.
it. No, I act
We have
like
some
it.
young Juliana.
We do.
I
Juliana.
think Juliana and Julia
Yeah.
are probably the youngest, right?
It's good to see.
Me
It's
and
good to
Julia,
see a
yeah,
lot.
me and Julia are the
Yeah.
same age.
Yeah,
So
so
yeah,
you
yeah,
three
it's
are the
two.
youngest.
It's good
Yeah.
to see a lot more younger
Or
people
babies
entering
than
the
Ashley.
industry.
And just watching the team grow from like 4 people to what are we now, 20? 15,
20
20?
plus.
We need like
Yeah.
solid agents too.
To just see that growth, it just shows you like what's possible. And
Well, it's cool to see.
Yeah.
Even for me, I've only been on the team 2 years now, a year and a half.
Yeah.
It'll be 2 years in August. And just what little what so much I've accomplished in what little time
Mhm.
is just crazy. Like with these guys along my side, and then to see my team do that same thing, it's been a whirlwind. It's been awesome to see the growth right before your eyes.
yeah, it really has provided, I think, all of us with a purpose. The team.
Yeah.
And I think we're only
Well,
going
We
to
could talk about this all day. We
better.
love our
Yeah.
team.
No, it's gonna be
It's the
awesome.
podcast. The podcast
Jesus.
is low key about our team. No,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Don't tune into any of the other episodes. but-
We love our team. Okay, so talked about our team. We talked about you guys in the industry. Some of the challenges you might have faced growing pans. We'll hear more, I'm sure, as we go
Yeah.
about
100%.
how you guys came to be. But what about your relationship and what that the team has kind of brought you guys together in a sense, right? We're not just.
Yeah.
I want to point out we're not just like here on a podcast like as realtors where
Yeah.
Or
we
friends.
actually have relationships
Yeah.
like right down to even family relationships for
Yeah.
some of us eventually. So I think it's so much deeper.
So, yeah, I mean, our team is like our family.
It is.
It truly is, honestly. We see each other every day. We're there for each other. We got each other's backs.
Yeah.
These two
And-
built their own relationship
and
outside of the
funny
team.
story though about Naz. So prior to I guess me joining the team or being on the team, Naz was friends with my friends, or we had mutual friends.
Yeah.
Prior to that, and when I met Naz and we sort of figured out that
The knees are
relationship
touching.
part.
We love each other so much.
I guess we created this bond and friendship right away.
Yeah,
And
we kind of just clicked.
yeah,
It just made sense.
No,
Yeah.
it was
But I
great.
get that same feeling with as soon as we seem to get a new team member, it always just clicks. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are. It feels like that every time.
And I think being, at the time, one of the newest members on the team, yes, although I did know some members of the team already, Naz, along with the other members, helped me really feel like family there
Yeah.
and welcomed me with open arms, helped me with anything.
Aw.
Coming from that corporate world to now on the brokerage side of things,
It's
it's
much
a big
different.
change.
Well, I would ask Nick for his opinion on commercial leases before he was on the team, because we didn't have a commercial
Go-to,
division.
yeah, like liaison.
So Nick has always been my commercial guy go-to, just because he had so much knowledge, right? And then it got to
Even
the
I
point where
asked
like,
you before I
yeah.
joined the team.
And then it got to the point where like we were just talking because we're friends, and I'd be like, dude, like you got to join the team. Like I don't know what you're waiting for. And I used to text him and be like, come over, just come work here. Just come work here. I would beg him.
Be with me.
Just be with me. And then yeah, Nick joined, and what feels like I've only really known you for technically 5 years, but really I've probably known you for like 3.5.
Yes.
But it feels like I've known you since
I think
we were
we
kids.
really got to know each other, when I joined the team 2 years ago and
Yeah.
developed that bond and friendship.
Yeah.
And we're such good friends. I was in Naz's bridal party.
He was. He was in my wedding party. Yeah.
Husbands sharing the couch together.
Yeah.
But,
So very special.
AKA the hub. Okay, so that leads me to my final question and our favorite question
Our
of the day.
favorite one. Yeah.
What makes... you want me to ask it individually or you want to be asked separate?
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have similar answers, but I'll let Naz.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, Naz, you're going to start this one first. You're not pawning it off to my voice this time. Okay, Naz.
Yeah.
What makes you the real deal?
What makes it's you know what we asked this before I answer, I'm gonna say we asked this question, and I feel like the answers should be so easy, and people give us such good answers to this question. Like we've had some really good answers to this question.
We have.
And now that it's being asked to me, fuck, is it hard to answer this question? I am not prepared to answer this question. What makes me the real deal is my care. I really care about the people I work with. Number one in my business. I always say this, people don't like to be sold, people like to go shopping with their friends. So I want to be friends with the people I work with. Number one. Number two is, I think what makes me the real deal is that unadulterated like realness. Like you're always going to get honesty from me. There's never sugarcoating. It is what it is. I am not afraid to roll up my sleeves and swing with a realtor and slug it out. That's in my DNA for some reason.
Not physically swing.
I love a good confrontation with a realtor.
Swing at you through my emails.
Yeah. And just knowing my value now, I think, is what makes me the real deal. Knowing what I bring to the table.
That's huge. Honestly, it's your value proposition at the end of the day.
Yeah.
If you're not giving someone something to remember you by, then you're not doing much for yourself or your business. Yeah.
Wasn't it you that said when we asked, you said, ask my clients? Was it you?
I don't know if it was me. Somebody did say that.
Go back to season.
I got
one.
that's so bad.
It's either season 1 or 2. Somebody said, go ask my clients.
That's so
And
true.
that's so good. Yeah.
That's a
you know
good
what?
response. Whoever
Erase
did
it
that
all. Go ask my clients.
Shout out to them.
But I think that's now, that's a big differentiating factor. There's over 80,000 agents in the Toronto real estate board right now.
Yeah, like what do you bring to the table that's going to be different
Why
than
are you
the
different
next?
than any of the other 80,000 out there?
It's not enough to say you work hard.
Bring
Just
that food to the table. Let's go.
It's the value. Value is huge.
And the team has given me an opportunity to discover not only my value personally, but to provide value above and beyond what the average realtor provides. So I think that's what makes me the real deal. How about you, pal?
I agree with you. I mean, I think my response would be similar. But yeah, I mean, we talked about this, the other day with the team in terms of what makes us different, and being real and being consistent, being honest. That's, those are 3 huge factors that I guess, differentiate yourselves from everyone else.
Yeah, I think Fern wrote down as the first one, be
Yeah.
authentic or something, and
Mm-hmm.
that's key.
You
Right?
don't-
At the end of the
you
day,
don't-
that's how you sum it up.
You don't want to be that fake person or that fake realtor who's just there to make the sale. Sure, that may work, but good luck trying to continue your business like that.
The next one's not always that easy like that.
Well, I think so one thing we try and say on the team that I've heard before is we work for your referrals, not your business. Because if we do a good enough job,
You'll give me the
you'll
next.
give the next.
Yeah.
And that we're here to build lifetime relationships, not one-off relationships, right? It's
Totally.
listen, if you're a realtor and your goal is to I'm going to sell them a house and then never talk to them again, you're going to be out of the business in less than 5 years.
Doesn't work like that.
You just will be.
The key is long-term
Agreed.
relationships, just like we're doing right here on this podcast.
It's not sustainable. It's not sustainable to want new
You
business every
you
deal.
want to create a
outta
community,
here,
a
please.
community of people who like follow you,
But
respect
again,
you,
that's-
believe in what you're doing, right?
That's why there's just such a small percentage of, those 80,000 realtors plus out there.
doing well and
Doing-
actually
doing
well.
staying in
Six
the
figures or more.
business, right? Those are the guys who last.
Nurturing relationships is huge. And if you're just going after that sale, good luck trying to do something again with that client or even getting a referral.
And it's consistency across the board, like even with the podcast, right?
Yeah.
You got to be consistent to
Just with everything,
hopefully
right?
get views and to get listeners, and you have to build that rapport with even listeners and viewers of your podcast or your Instagram channel, whatever page. That shows you how good I am at social media, but or your YouTube channel. Like you have to build a rapport. People have to get to know you as a person.
Yeah.
yeah,
People want to
but-
know you, right? They don't
Yeah.
just want to know, yeah, you can be behind the screen, but show them who you are. Be
Mm-hmm.
authentic. You see me on camera, you see me in person, I'm always the same. Like it doesn't
That is
change.
true.
And it should never,
Mhm.
it should
be like
never
that.
change,
Should be like
right?
that for sure.
Be who you
100%.
want to be, and that's what'll lead to your success, I would say. But
Be who you want to be.
I think this is a good conclusion to
Yeah,
our
this was a good
episode
one.
today, and I think it was wholesome. It feels good.
Thank you for flipping the script. That was
Yeah, I
nice
think it
change of
was.
pace.
I think it was nice to finally hear from you guys and actually get down to how this was created and why we're here right now. Because we actually wouldn't be sitting on the casting couch right now if you guys didn't say, "Hey, let's start this podcast," right? So I think that's huge, and I
Yeah.
really think that has a lot to do
Well,
with why we're here. So
Like you said, it takes a village.
it does.
It's not just us. It took Julia, who was initially doing our videography,
She's
and
still in the scenes.
she's still in the scenes, and it takes Thomas now, and it took you to elevate it, and it
You
took
guys, the
us,
guests.
and it took Fern, and it takes so many people. So yes, we might have built the foundation, but the house or the building was built by everybody involved. So
Yeah.
It's expanding.
yeah, so we definitely appreciate everybody
So
who's a part of this
stay
podcast.
tuned for more.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more.
Because
We're
this
very excited.
won't be the last. What's that song? You haven't seen the last of me.
Yes, we will be singing on this podcast too.
And that's
Okay.
until
Until
next time.
next time,
Real deal.
the real deal.